Good morning, everybody. Today we will continue with vorticity stream function approach for solving Navier-Stokes equations. If you recall, in the last lecture, we discussed about boundary conditions, obviously governing equations, boundary conditions, and the solution strategy. Today's lecture, we will take up some issues for related to improving the accuracy, and then we will extend our analysis for the curvilinear coordinates. Now, the first point that I would like to mention, if we try to model high-speed flows, high Reynolds number flows, that is convection dominated flows, then obviously we have to go for upwinding, and I will take a representative convective term u del omega del x. When we discretize it for local velocity uij positive, it will be uij omega ij minus omega I minus 1j upstream point, omega at upstream point by delta x. And if the local velocity is negative, then omega I plus 1j downstream point minus omega ij by delta x. So this is simple upwinding, and if needed, we can go for higher order upwinding also. Something like maybe quick scheme or something like Kuwahara scheme we can make use of. Next point, we will discuss about increasing accuracy. Now, in vorticity stream function related solver, vorticity term is very crucial, and we have discussed that vorticity is generated on the solid wall. Why on the solid wall? Because of no slip condition, there will be the velocity will be 0 at the wall, and it will reach through the boundary layer the free stream velocity. That means there will be a gradient del u del y throughout the boundary layer, and vorticity is del v del x minus del u del y. Because of generation of del u del y term, vorticity will be generated near the wall, and this vorticity generation has to be very accurate while solving the flows through using stream function vorticity approach. Now, if you recall, for stream function or finding out the boundary conditions on stream function, we considered Taylor series approximation of the stream function at the near wall point. In the Taylor series approximation, we considered up to second order term, and we neglected all other higher order terms and higher order derivatives. Now here we'll work with a third order term, which is effectively del omega del y, and we can show that del del y of omega means del del y of del v del x minus del u del y. Then we get del 2v del x del y, del 2u del by 2, and we can rearrange this term as del del x of del v del y, and this term del 2u del by 2, u equal to del psi del y, it becomes del 3 psi del by 3. Here del v del y can be substituted by del u del x. So we get finally del 2u del x2 minus del 3 psi del y3. But del 2u del x2 on the boundary, on the solid boundary, all u's are 0. So del u del x is also 0. Del u del y is present, strong component. But since all u's are 0, so gradient of u in x direction is also 0 and double derivative is also 0. So we can neglect this term. Del omega del y at wall is minus del 3 psi del y3 at wall. Equation 27. We now again rewrite equation 13. As you recall that Js is the representative of solid surface. So psi I Js, psi at the solid surface, and this is psi I Js plus 1. That is psi at the near wall point. Plus del psi del y into delta y half del 2 psi del y2 into delta y square 1 by factorial 3 del 3 psi del y3 into del y cube. Now in this equation, clearly del psi del y is u velocity and u velocity is 0. We can set directly this to 0. And del 2 psi del y2, if you recall, we substituted for omega in our last lecture. So we will do that. And here del 3 psi del y3 from the, just I'm going back by one slide. From the previous slide, this is nothing but del omega del y. So we'll substitute this by del omega del y. Exactly we do that. Psi at near wall point equal to psi at the wall. This is 0. So minus del y square by 2 and del 2 psi del y2 is minus omega. So this is omega at the wall and del y cube by 6 del 3 psi del y3 is substituted by del omega del y at the wall. So we now generalize this equation 28 by this consideration that see delta y we convert into delta n, because if the solid surface is horizontal, delta y is the near wall point in the normal direction. But solid surface may be horizontal, may be vertical, may be inclined. Then we have to consider basically near wall point in the normal direction. So delta y is substituted by delta n, normal direction from the wall, and del omega del y is discretized by a forward difference quotient, omega at w plus 1 minus omega at w. That means omega, if you consider ij, that omega at ij plus 1 minus omega at ij, omega ij divided by delta n. So this becomes then psi w plus 1 means the psi at the near wall point minus psi at the wall plus del n square by 6 omega at w plus 1 equal to these two terms together, omega at w and omega at w, minus del n square by 3 omega at w. So this is just algebraic steps I have narrated. There was no need of over explaining it, but you can understand it quite clearly. Now from there we can write then omega at the wall, we can get explicit expression. So omega at the wall minus 3 psi at the near wall point minus psi at the wall delta n square minus half omega at near wall point. So omega at wall, when we are calculating, we are involving psi at the wall and psi at the near wall point, normal distance between them, and psi omega also at near wall point. This is omega at wall, near wall point means next to the wall, and this omega obviously we get from the previous level of calculations. So the above equation is second order accurate boundary condition obviously, but many times it doesn't lead to stable computation. Some problems arise, and those problems can be addressed by fine-tuning other boundary conditions, and also having a closer look at the convective terms. Maybe little higher order discretization is needed. So, overall this is a solution strategy and strategy for increasing accuracy for high speed flows, upwinding. We have discussed everything, but obviously for a practical problem one has to try and see what works best. Now I will extend our analysis to curvilinear geometry, and we will take up a circular cylinder with radius r0, and this cylinder is very long. Why we are saying cylinder is very long? So that there is no end effect on the solution. At any cross section of the cylinder, we can get the solution plane, and on that solution is valid. And on this line, since this is symmetric line, psi equal to 0, omega equal to 0. On this line, psi equal to 0, omega equal to 0. And on the solid surface, again psi equal to 0, because of no slip condition, there is no mass flow rate on the solid surface, and psi is indicative of the mass flow rate. So psi equal to 0 is quite rational, and basically psi is obtainable from the tangential velocity component, which we can say here like u0 r sine theta, and far away from the wall this will be the free stream velocity, or even can be zero velocity, and omega will be also 0. So if we go for the governing equation, obviously the first equation will be the vorticity transport equation, and here we will use r theta coordinate. The unsteady term del omega del t we have neglected because we are considering steady flow. Vr is the radial direction velocity, and say Vr is the radial direction velocity, V theta is the tangential velocity. Now we are Vr del omega del r plus V theta by r del omega del theta equal to nu. This is Laplacian omega. In cylindrical polar coordinate system, this is the expression for Laplacian. That means operator is del 2 del r2, 1 by r del r, 1 by r square del 2 del theta 2. So here del 2 omega del r2 plus 1 by r del omega del r plus 1 by r square del 2 omega del theta 2. And omega is the vorticity in, again, cylindrical polar coordinate system. It is given by 1 by r del r of r v theta minus 1 by r del theta of Vr. So Vr is the radial component of velocity and V theta is the tangential component of velocity. And from stream function, again in cylindrical polar coordinate system, definition of stream function and definition of vorticity we have used. So from definition of stream function, the r direction velocity is 1 by r del psi del theta, and tangential velocity v theta is minus del psi del r. Now minus del psi del r and 1 by r del psi del theta, these are basically tangential and radial components of velocity. And if we substitute here in the expression for omega, just we have substituted, we finally get the governing equation for psi. That is basically Poisson's equation in psi. This is also, you can see, Laplacian psi. Del r2 of psi 1 by r del psi del r plus 1 by r square del 2 psi del theta 2 equal to minus omega. And if you recall, it is just similar to our what we did in Cartesian coordinate, that vorticity transport equation, the Poisson's equation for stream function, and the definition of Vr and V theta. These are the governing equations. If we consider boundary condition, we have already in the schematic we have said that theta will be 0, psi will be 0 over the entire cylinder. So we have written that psi is 0 at theta equal to 0 when r is greater than equal to r0. Psi is 0 at theta equal to pi, and psi is 0 on r equal to r0. And far field velocity becomes uniform and equal to u0 as r tends to infinity. In terms of stream function, we get as r tends to infinity, psi tends to ur r sine theta, u naught r sine theta. And this is with respect to this grid. You can see the r naught is the radius of the cylinder, r infinity is far away from the solid body. I have just given example schematically. This r can be very large, and the grids are in theta direction counted by I equal to 1, I equal to 2, I equal to 3, similarly I equal to I max. It is from theta equal to 0 to theta equal to pi, and j's are j equal to 1, j equal to 2, j equal to 3, j equal to 4, up to, will cover entire r infinity. So as I said, that r equal to r infinity is considered for implementing far field condition, this figure. So psi there will be u naught, because it is, as I said, from the tangential component of velocity, u naught r infinity sine theta at r equal to r infinity. For the vorticity, the far field boundary condition, there will be no vorticity. We will assume that in the far field, only free stream is prevalent, so vorticity is not there. Since the velocity is uniform and velocity gradients are 0, the above mentioned condition is justified. On the axis theta equal to 0 and pi, del v r del theta equal to 0 due to axisymmetry. So on the axis, del v r del theta is 0 on the axis, because theta is variation in this direction. So if the lower half is exactly symmetric, so del Vr del theta gradient in theta direction is 0 and psi equal to 0 at all r. This is on the axis, on the again on the axis all r psi equal to 0. Now in equation 30 and 32, that means I'm going back a few slides. Equation 30 and 32, we will substitute for Vr and V theta at the point theta equal to 0 and theta equal to pi. If we do that, we will get omega equal to 0 at theta equal to 0 and omega equal to 0 at theta equal to pi. Then again we will take up, going back by again few slides, equation 32. In equation 32, if we set the conditions Vr equal to 0 and V zeta equal to 0 and corresponding stream functions we reappropriate, we will get that del 2 psi del R2 equal to minus omega. So del 2 psi del R2 equal to minus omega, this becomes the form of the equation at basically impervious and no slip condition. That means it is on the wall. Now the wall vorticity can be calculated using the image point method that we mentioned while deriving basically equation 14. You may have a look into it. We have followed, say, we can be same strategy can be followed. Considering a curvilinear grid as shown in figure 3, I have explained in the radial direction these are delta r's and j equal to 1 to j max, and theta direction these are delta thetas and I equal to 1 to I max. So I equal to 1 to I max in theta direction, and in the radial direction j equal to 1 to j max. In the radial direction it is delta r is the grid size. In the theta direction delta theta is the grid size. So now the derivatives such as del omega del theta, simply we have applied central differencing here. Omega I plus 1j minus omega I minus 1j divided by twice delta theta. Del omega del r, omega I in the r direction, that means j plus 1 minus omega I j minus 1 by twice delta r. Del 2 omega del theta 2, similarly central difference omega I plus 1j minus twice omega ij plus omega I minus 1j by delta theta square. Del 2 omega del R2 is basically omega ij plus 1 minus omega ij plus omega ij minus 1, simple central difference divided by delta r square. Similarly, if the derivatives del psi del theta, del psi del r, del 2 psi del theta 2 and del 2 psi del r2, exactly this way we can substitute. And again this is the grid and the solution strategy is same, basically some initial condition for appropriate initial condition for Vr, V theta, omega and psi, they are given. Then the boundary conditions are properly applied. We have discussed the boundary conditions on all confining surfaces. That means here the confining surface means this is one surface, and r equal to r infinity is another surface, and this is one surface, and this line is also one surface. So basically that theta equal to 0 will be described by one surface, and theta equal to pi, this is another extreme, and j equal to j max for all the thetas, that is j equal to j max is the boundary at r equal to r infinity, and theta will vary from theta equal to 1 to I equal to 1 to I max. R will vary from j equal to 1 to j max. Theta will vary from I equal to 1 to I max. Now, this is what I have again repeated actually, that the way equation 39 is discretized, in the same way expression for stream functions can be obtained, discretized form can be obtained. Substituting these expressions into governing equations 30 and 32, the nodal equations of all the interior nodes I equal to 2 to I max minus 1, j equal to 2 to j max minus 1 are derived. Finally, the set of discretized equations and boundary conditions are solved by iterative method, just the way we set up the solution algorithm for Cartesian coordinate method. Here it will be the same, only thing quantities are Vr, V theta and psi in cylindrical polar coordinate, and omega in cylindrical polar coordinate. For high Reynolds number flows, upwinding can be implemented based on the magnitude of Vr and V theta in a similar manner as described earlier. The important fact to be kept in mind while simulating flows in curvilinear geometries, it is to be always remembered that because of curvature, this 1 by r term, certain terms in the governing equations or boundary conditions may take 0 by 0 form. In such cases, one can either resolve the 0 by 0 form using L'Hopital's rule, if L'Hopital's rule can be applied, or what one can do locally by taking a few points, a Cartesian maze can be described to get rid of the point of singularity. This is a very special technique I will mention in one of the subsequent lectures. Now becomes another important point, that is now we have to discuss another important point. So that means whatever we have discussed in Cartesian coordinate, for example, having solved all the equations, we will get distribution of stream function, distribution of vorticity, and u velocity and v velocity. In cylindrical polar coordinate system, we also get distribution of omega, vorticity, distribution of stream function psi, and Vr, that means radial velocity, and V theta, that means tangential velocity. So on the domain of interest, we will get these variables. But since we did not handle pressure at all, we eliminated pressure by formulating the problem based on vorticity transport equation. So pressure is not obtainable from these values. We get only velocity component, stream function, and vorticity. But complete solution in a domain demands pressure value also, and that is very important. So having solved that, after getting converged flow field, from there we can determine the pressure by solving the pressure equation, which is Poisson's equation for pressure, and how that is formed I have discussed it here. So you consider x, I mean I'm giving an example through Cartesian coordinate. I have written differentiate equation 1, that means x momentum equation, by x. Earlier for forming vorticity, we differentiated with respect to y, but now we are differentiating with respect to x. And y direction momentum equation, we are differentiating with respect to y. Earlier, for forming vorticity transport equation, the y momentum equation we differentiated with respect to x, but here we are differentiating with respect to y. That means x momentum equation we differentiate with respect to x, y momentum equation we differentiate with respect to y, and then add. If we add, it is very clear cut, substitution. All of you can do it. Please practice it. Differentiate, write x direction momentum equation, differentiate with respect to x, write y direction momentum equation, differentiate with respect to y, and add these two equations. If you add, you will get del u del x square plus del v del y square, twice del v del x into del u del y, u into del 2u del x2 del 2v del x del y, plus v into del 2u del x del y plus del 2v del y2. And right hand side we clearly get basically Laplacian p. So that is basically 1 by rho grad square p equal to plus nu del x of grad square u plus del y of grad square v. We have given a number 40. So by making use of continuity equation, again here you can substitute continuity equation appropriately, and you will see a massive reduction of the terms, and you will get del square p equal to twice rho into del u del x within bracket del u del x into del v del y minus del u del y into del v del x. And now in the domain, what is the value of u, what is the value of v with respect to psi. Del psi del y equal to u minus del psi del x, v equal to minus del psi del x. So you can substitute or do those substitution, and you will get grad square p equal to 2 by rho del square psi del x2 del 2 psi del y2 minus del 2 psi del x del y whole square. And all these values are known. Local psi values at every location, these are known. From here, this unknown pressure, if you discretize it in the x direction and y direction through central differencing, and right hand side is known, and then you run from I equal to 1 to I max, I equal to 1 to I max, but effectively I equal to 2 to I max minus 1, and j equal to 1 to j max. Then you will get basically a pentadiagonal matrix, and you can solve that matrix. We have obtained now Poisson equation for pressure, which is analogous to again another Poisson equation for vorticity or stream function. So the Poisson equation, Poisson equation for stream function. We didn't get Poisson equation for vorticity. Vorticity equation, we got basically vorticity transport equation. From there we calculated the expression for vorticity, but basically we made use of the Poisson's equation for stream function. Anyway, whatever we did, you can have a relook into it. But here, as I'm saying, is Poisson's equation for pressure, and we can solve it by we can get this form basically by breaking into central difference in x direction and central difference in y direction, and then if we run from I equal to 1 to I max, j equal to 1 to j max, we'll get a matrix, and there we'll see that diagonal and two of the super diagonal elements and two of the sub diagonal elements are present. Other terms will be 0, and right hand side is explicitly known because all the values are known. By solving that, we will be able to determine pressure in the flow domain. And if you are interested, these are the references I used for teaching purpose also. I'm preparing the lectures, so you can look at these references if you find them interesting. Thank you very much. Thank you.